Now, decentralized finance is changing the world of money as we know it. No big shock there. Access to financial systems, transparency, and security are just a few of the areas that are being boosted by DeFi, but the protocols being used are still a long way from perfect, and there are huge technical challenges, as well as big questions too about things like regulation and governance in the system. So let's explore some of those gaps and the efforts being made to fix them with Jonathan Victor from Protocol Labs. Jonathan, thanks for talking to us. Listen, you're involved in DeFi. You know, it's a catch-all term. It covers an awful lot of different things. But can you give us an overview of where you think we currently stand at the moment in DeFi? In particular, I'm interested in what you think the real challenges are facing DeFi as a sector.
I mean, I think the interesting thing about DeFi, if we sort of rewind over, where have we been in the last few years? I think we went from basically 0 to 100 and now maybe back down to 25. We've seen multiple massive drawdowns where like the core blue chip DeFi protocols have been resilient. And so, yeah, of course, the regulation and the things that bring broader participants are going to come over time. And in the interim, we're just going to build the systems that we need to build. I think one of the interesting things about Filecoin is we have a network that is allowing for the permissionless commissioning of open services. You as a client with just a wallet address, you can choose to pay someone on an open market to store your data and do it for some period of time. Now, take open services and combine that with what we have with financing. And so when we start thinking about what is the next iteration of DeFi, I think it moves one layer further, where it's like, how do we bring crypto rails into more and more things in the economy? Well, one way of doing it is having the real world economy sort of bridge in and sort of accept crypto rails. The other is having more and more services that actually natively accept crypto rails by default. And I think this is one of the bigger trends if you're sort of looking at what's happening with some of these infrastructure plays, where being able to integrate the tooling and the primitives that we've built in like the DeFi economy with like the actual service economy that's being built in these other ecosystems. And I think to me at least, one of the most interesting things that's sort of on the horizon here.
Yeah, look, you touched on NFTs there. I know this is where you specialize. Can you characterize where all of this fits in at the moment, and especially where it might have fitted in comparison to the last year and perhaps where we are now?
So I think NFTs in general, when we think of NFTs, a lot of times we're talking about sort of like the 10K profile pictures or the high art sort of use cases. And I think those, of course, went through their own sort of moment in the last year. So like, I think what we're actually seeing is just NFTs are a new sort of category of like objects, and we're going to see that sort of like play out. I think the other thing that we're sort of seeing is like NFTs as more in a more functional context. Again, like look at Uniswap, your positions as an LP are NFTs, right? And as we're seeing NFTs represent more and more things, I think we're going to see it just integrate more with like the tooling that we've built. So I've talked to teams that are looking at NFTs as ways of representing like corporate bonds as an example, where what is a corporate bond but a non-fungible token? And I think that combined with some of these other primitives that we have, it leads to more and more opportunity for more complex sort of like interactions that you can design, and in general, just sort of enabling more bespoke features.
So looking ahead then, what are the issues keeping you up at night? What are the possible points of failure and the vulnerabilities that are really being threatening to the DeFi sector?
I think number one is sort of the UX of things. We're still at a stage that's like, we had so much enthusiasm, we really raced forward in terms of user adoption. I think we're still at a pretty early stage when it comes to shaving down those sharp edges that make it easy for people to put money into these systems and feel secure that they're not gonna click the wrong link and lose their life savings. I think the secondary thing is really on the infrastructure side, where it's like, how do we build experiences where, it feels more natural. I think like, it doesn't feel like you're paying like $200 in periods of high whatever. It's like we have to get the gas fees down as well. So I think it's more just thinking like, what are the user experiences, not just from like the security side, but also like the operational of as we have rollups and like other chains sort of push forward the boundaries of how do we enable lower cost transactions, as we see more decentralized storage and other things sort of playing a role, you'll see people building more sophisticated models that are shareable through some of these like systems. You'll see more complex interactions that are happening on chain, but I think this is probably the first two or like the things that block us today from just like the common case. And then I think we have like a whole set of more advanced use cases on the horizon.
And if you could just give us a characterization of where you feel Filecoin fits into all of this.
Yeah, I think there's probably two big classifications here. I think one is sort of in support of other chains. That's something Filecoin offers. As folks are building out compute networks on top of Filecoin, being able to do bespoke transformation of that data to answer questions where it's like, if X happens, post some message back on Ethereum, those are powerful use cases that I think are just kicking off. I think the other side of it is sort of what I was talking about with these open services and being able to build native economies. I think if you look at Filecoin later next year, I think early Q1 2022, Filecoin's launching smart contracts. And so being able to then start looking at different ecosystems. Filecoin itself has 4,000 native businesses that are running on Filecoin's crypto rails. Every miner is its own business. And so all of those businesses are looking for things like cheap cost of capital. So they want to get an under collateralized loan. And we can use the blockchain physics of smart contracts to say, hey, I can issue you a loan to this mining address and ensure that you repay me because I will garnish your wages through what the blockchain is paying you at the specific mining address. And I don't have to worry about you running away and taking the funds. And I think these are the sorts of things that aren't really possible in the traditional enterprise. And when we start thinking about how do you bring the cost of storage down, it's not just that we have this decentralized storage network where anyone can contribute capacity. It's also saying we have the superpower of DeFi that allows you to purchase storage services at a substantially cheaper rate because you can finance it through these permissionless capital markets.
All right, Jonathan, thanks so much for talking to us. Jonathan Victor there from Protocol Labs. We look forward to hearing from you at the Phil Singapore 22 Summit later this month.